ακούγεται? 1, 2, 3, 4. friends, and all the while inside I knew it was real, the way you make me feel. Closer I get to you, the closer I get to you. Yeah. Kisses linger in the air, soft caress upon my hair, eyes that sparkle like the night. In your arms it feels so right, heavy breathing heartbeats sink. Every touch makes me think, love unfolding like a dream. Underneath the story gleam, under the moonlight, we are one. Feel the heat between us run. Passion blazes like the sun. In the dark, our love's begun. Tender moments tucked away. In the night we find our way. Lips that meet with fire and grace, lost within each warm embrace. Heavy breathing heartbeats sink. Every touch makes me think, love unfolding like a dream. Underneath the story gleam, under the moonlight, we are one. Feel the heat between us run. Passion blazes like the sun. In the dark, our love's begun. Your You're lifting me up, never let me down, and I smile whenever you're around. Oh, I got a feeling it'll work out right. I can't stop thinking about you every day.
Good afternoon to everybody. May I have your attention? I think it's time to start. And I would like to warmly welcome you to Larissa, where, as you know, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, lived, practiced medicine, passed away, and buried. In this place, the medical tradition continues with respect for knowledge, truth, and humanity. At the University of Thessaly, we have teaching on bioethics and medical deontology, both in undergraduate and postgraduate level, exploring the ethical and social dimensions of modern medical practice. Today's event is part of this master program, the Master of Deontology and Ethics in Biomedical Sciences, and aims to inspire young doctors and nurses and biomedical practitioners to connect scientific knowledge with moral responsibility. Through dialogue and reflection, we carry forward the legacy of Hippocrates' placing human dignity at the heart of every medical decision. Finally, let me remind you that October the 19th marks the celebration of the World Bioethics Day, a day dedicated to the principles that guide science with respect for the human beings. With this, I would like to thank you very much all for coming and to honor our event. Here is the medical school of the Faculty of Medicine of the School of Health Sciences at the University of Thessaly. This is the main auditorium and has the name of Hippocrates. We're keeping the Hippocratic tradition. The Faculty of Medicine is one of the seven we have in our country. Is the youngest one, I would say, but it is very active and has been included in the last rankings among the 300, 400 worldwide. We have at the undergraduate level a program in medicine in Greek as well as in English, international program. So we have two different programs running in parallel, mirroring each one the program of the other. And also we have several postgraduate courses, master courses, and among these 5 are taught in English. So as you understand, it's a very dynamic situation. And finally, I would like to say that we have created a very strong bond with the Global Hippocratic Doctors Hippocratic Institute. President is Dr. Patoulis, President of the Medical Association of Athens, Secretary General Dr. Polidorou, and when I had the privilege to be president of the medical school, of this medical school, within this context, Dr. Polidorou, with Dr. Polidorou organized to set the best sculpture of Hippocrates. You've seen it in the lobby outside, as well as we planted the plane tree, where, according to the tradition, underneath the Hippocrates used to teach the medical students. And we are proud of this collaboration. And since then, we have a very strong collaboration. We have traveled all around over the world, and we have done the same thing in several countries. Next, we are going to Chisinau, Moldova, to do the same thing. In the university there, that they are celebrating the 80th anniversary. I think we will continue it, and we think that Hippocrates does not belong only to Larissa or to Kos or to Greece. Hippocrates is a father of medicine, and his heritage should be spread around, because I think his teaching is always very modern. Thank you very much for being here. And before we start the scientific program, I would like to ask Professor Papa.Θανασίου, is the president of the Faculty of Nursing, to come and say a few words. I would like to say that the master course we are running on Deontology and Medical Ethics is a joint master course with the Faculty of Medicine and Faculty of Nursing. Ioanna.
Thank you very much, Professor Giannoukas. On behalf of the Department of Nursing of the School of Health Sciences and the University of Thessaly, I would like to welcome you all in Larissa, the city where Hippocrates died. In the Department of Nursing, in collaboration with the Department of Medicine, we have the master's degree in bioethics, and also we have the Laboratory of Bioethics and Deontology, where many research programs and many activities are running. We have a strong collaboration with the medical department, and we hope that you will enjoy your stay here in Larissa, and if you will come again, you are all welcome in our department.
We are missing actually the professor of Deontology and Medical Ethics, Professor Anna Mavroforu, because he's sick. We expected to have her here, and also to be sitting there next to Dr. Polidoro to moderate the session. Unfortunately, he wasn't able for her to come, but I would like to give to you all her greetings, and she regretted very much that he's not here with us. Also, this collaboration with the Faculty of Nursing is evident. If you look at the program today, you will see that the presenters is mixed, and presenters from the Faculty of Medicine and presenters from the Faculty of Nursing. And with these words, I would like to give the microphone or the podium to Dr. Polidoro, and you can present the first speaker. Okay.
Hi everybody, dear professors, dear students, dear colleagues. The first speaker is Mr. Chaliapalias, and he's going to give a speech on the evolution of medical practices and the legacy of Hippocrates in ancient Thessaly.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to address you today on the topic of the evolution of medical practices and the legacy of Hippocrates in ancient Thessaly. Thessaly is the cradle of healing. About Thessaly's geography. The geography of Thessaly facilitated healing practices. The slopes of Mount Olympus, of Mount Ossa, Mount Pindus, and Mount Pelion were covered with a variety of medicinal plants. Springs and caves naturally became sanctuaries. The landscape was not simply a background. It was a pharmacy, a school, and a source of myth. Asclepia in Thessaly. There were many Asclepia in ancient Thessaly. The Asclepia of the Greeks were not only centers of ritual healing, but of actual therapy. The sick, the patient, came to be purified, to make sacrifices, and to spend the night in the temple. Through the rite of incubation, They waited for their dreams to be interpreted by the priest, whose diagnoses were based on faith and observation. Centaur Chiron. One of the most distinguished figures in the field of healing comes from Mount Pelion, Chiron the Centaur. Unlike his wild ancestors, he is characterized by the wisdom and compassion. He taught he was mentor of Achilles, Jason, and Asclepius himself. He is widely credited with identifying various medicinal herbs, establishing principles of wood care, and providing the earliest anatomical insights. Medical practices in ancient Thessaly. The development of witchcraft in Thessaly is attributed to the myth of Medea. According to the myth, when Medea and Jason crossed Thessaly, her bag of various herbs broke, spreading magical healing seeds. This mythical tradition reflects the historical fact that magic was brought to Greece from Eastern civilizations. Medea was a healer and witch who brought with her ancient female herbal and magical traditions from her homeland of Colchis. In ancient times, medicine and magic were closely related through botany. In many cases, we could say that science and superstition overlapped. Hippocrates did not invent medicine from scratch. Instead, he refined and transformed practices that were already in place in Thessaly. The Thessalian mountains were full of medicinal plants, which were used in herbal remedies. Achillea millefolium, named after Achilles, was valued from its wood healing properties. Centauri, associated with Chiron, was used to treat fevers. Other herbs were used to treat digestion, pain, and infection. Homer, in his writings, describes the Thessalian healers Macaon and Podalirius, who were the sons of Asclepius and tended to the wounded at Troy. Their practices reveal the early roots of battlefield medicine, which were later refined in the Hippocratic texts. In this picture, you can see Macaon who bites Philoctetes, who turns to speak to him. Philoctetes was a king of Thessalian city near Melvia. In Thessaly, healing was never just a narrow craft. It was immediately apparent that the concept of healing was both natural and divine, mythical and practical, personal and communal. The arrival of Hippocrates in Thessaly. It was in this fertile landscape of healing that Hippocrates, of course, arrived. Born around 460 BC, he is rightly known as the father of medicine. Although he was born on the island of Kos, he spent several years of his life in Larissa, Thessaly, practicing and teaching medicine until his death around 377 BC. Why is his presence here significant? It was in Thessaly, a land where myth and medicine were intertwined, that Hippocrates offered a new approach of healing. He honored tradition, yet redefined it. He honored the gods, yet insisted that disease had natural causes. He embraced myth, but demanded observation. For Hippocrates, illness was not a punishment from the gods, but rather a natural bodily process influenced by environmental factors, lifestyle, and diet. It meant that a physician's role was to study patient, understand symptoms, make prognosis, and guide recovery, rather than to appease divine forces. In Thessaly, Hippocrates left behind a legacy that shaped the very foundations of Western medicine. The method of observation. On the right, you can see a painting by Robert Thom for 1950s. Hippocrates examining a child. Hippocrates and his student encouraged doctors to carefully record symptoms, compare cases, and recognize patterns. They believed that the body had natural healing powers and that physicians should support these processes rather than dominate them. Though written by several authors over time, this collection, the Hippocratic Corpus, of around 60 medical treatises, which are attributed to Hippocrates, established medicine as a rational discipline. Topics covered include surgery, anatomy, epidemics, diet, and ethics. Many of these texts may have been studied or copied in Thessaly itself. Perhaps the most enduring legacy was the establishment of medicine as a profession with a code of ethics through the oath. It called upon physicians to respect their teachers, protect patient confidentiality, and avoid causing harm. You can still see its influence in the oaths taken by medical graduates today. The ideas born in Thessaly and taught by Hippocrates did not die with him. Instead, they spread throughout the Hellenistic world and beyond, reaching Rome, Byzantium, and the Renaissance. Throughout the centuries, physicians have returned to his principles of observation, ethics, and holistic care. Even modern medicine, with its advanced imaging, genetics, and biotechnology, is still guided by the central Hippocratic principles. Observe the patient carefully. Treat the whole person, not just the disease. Act with compassion and integrity. So, what does all this mean for you, our newly qualified doctors? You are inheriting a tradition. You are the inheritors of Thessaly's Asclepia and the wisdom of Chiron, as well as the vision of Hippocrates. Medicine is not just a career, it's a calling and a sacred responsibility. Compassion is your most important tool. Machines can diagnose and technology can cure, but only you can listen to your patients, offer them comfort, and support them through their darkest hours. Science must be guided by ethics. Today, you face challenges that Hippocrates could never have imagined, such as genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and global pandemics. Yet, the principle of do no harm remains your guiding light. Without ethics, knowledge can harm as easily as it heals. Just as Hippocrates considered diet, environment, and lifestyle, you must treat patients as whole beings, not just their bodies, but their minds, hearts, and communities too. Young doctors, today you stand on the threshold of a new chapter in your lives. You have mastered the sciences of the present day, but you are also the guardians of the past stretching back through the millennia. In Thessaly, in the shadow of Mount Pelion, of Mount Olympus, healing began as a myth. In the Asclepia, it evolved into a ritual practice. In Larissa, here, under Hippocrates, it became a science and an ethical practice. And today, with you, it is becoming the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chagiaballas, for your excellent speech. And it's important, of course, for all our students to understand that Hippocrates was born at the island of Kos. He created the School of Medicine there, and after that, he came to Larissa, where he lived, where he worked, where he teaches medicine, and where he died. So, we have the island and the mainland city Larissa that Hippocrates lived. Thank you. So we continue with Mr.
Continue with
Dafopoulos.
Professor Dafopoulos. Professor Dafopoulos is a professor of obstetrics and gynecology in our university, and is going to talk us about the bioethical issues in medical assisted reproduction. And I would say that Professor Dafopoulos is almost focused on this particular topic and has a long experience, and of course not only medical experience but deontological and ethical experience in ethical dilemmas. So Kostas will listen to you with great interest.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank you personally and Professor Mavroforu for your kind invitation to be here with you and discuss about a very complicated and huge issue, which is bioethics in medically assisted reproduction. And also I would like to congratulate all these excellent medical students with us who are here, and they're going to take the Hippocratic Oath in a unique ceremony, and I'm sure that you will remember about it in whole of your scientific career. No conflicts of interest to declare. As an introduction, medically assisted reproduction are actually the medical interventions that help individuals or couples to conceive when natural conception is impossible. The usual techniques that are included in medically assisted reproduction are the classical in vitro fertilization, the intracytoplasmic sperm injection, pre-implantation genetic testing, gamete donation, and surrogacy. While all these advances have brought hope to millions of people worldwide, they also raise profound ethical, legal, and social questions. On the other hand, bioethics is the study of moral issues in life sciences and healthcare. And it actually provides the framework for evaluating medically assisted reproduction, because it addresses dilemmas concerning autonomy, human dignity, justice, and the moral status of the embryo. However, the intersection of technological innovation lately and moral responsibility makes medically assisted reproduction one of the most debated areas in modern bioethics. So which are the basic ethical principles in medically assisted reproduction? First of all, it's the autonomy, which is the right of individuals to make informed reproductive choices free from coercion. And of course, this includes the decision to use or decline medically assisted reproduction and the right to choose donors or surrogates. Beneficence. It's promoting the welfare of patients, the intended parents, and the future child. Non-maleficence, as you heard previously about Hippocrates. It's very important. It's to avoid harm to all parties involved, including the embryos and the donors. And finally, justice. Justice to ensure the fair access to medically assisted reproduction, preventing exploitation, and distributing resources equitably. However, these principles often conflict. For example, a couple's autonomy to select embryos may challenge societal concerns about eugenics or discrimination. The moral status of the embryo. One of the most persisting ethical debates concerns when human life begins. Some traditions attribute full moral status to the embryo from conception, making embryo destruction or selection morally impermissible. Others view the early embryo as potential life deserving respect, but not full moral protection. And also the handling of excess embryos. Today we have a huge problem, especially here in Greece, with more than 70,000 embryos that are abandoned. those embryos that have not been transferred and often frozen or discarded. This intensifies, of course, this moral tension. Following the recommendation of the United States of America Ethics Advisory Board report in 1979 and the UK Warnock report in 1984, many countries have adopted the rule that no embryo should be cultured in vitro for research purposes beyond 14 days of development. This is the 14-day rule. Because it coincides with the emergence of the primitive streak that marks the beginning of individualization. So the embryo is no longer able to twin, and the completion, of course, of implantation. Over the past 40 years, researchers did not call for an expansion of this limit, as it was technically impossible to keep a morphologically intact embryo alive in vitro for a longer period of time. More recently, you see, to 2024, the European Society of Human Reproduction and Embryology, which is, of course, the largest society worldwide, recommends that the 14-day limit should be extended to a 28-day limit. And this recommendation is based on a careful evaluation of the scientific literature, which suggests significant benefits from starting later stages of embryonic development that cannot be accessed within the current 14-day framework. The proposed extension aims to strike a balance between respecting the human embryo and harnessing the potential scientific and medical benefits that could arise from researching more advanced stages of development. This is about research in human embryos. Gamete donation, another important issue. It also raises questions about anonymity, consent, and identity. Some countries permit anonymous donations to protect donors' privacy, while others mandate that children born through donation have the right to know their genetic origin. The Greek law permits both. We have both options here. Ethical concerns also arise regarding commercialization, as financial compensation might exploit economically vulnerable donors. And from one part, we have the good of the child. It seems obvious that children have the right to know who their parents are. This is not only for emotional reasons, which must, of course, also be considered, but mainly for medical reasons, because if we have a genetic disease that needs to be identified in order to be diagnosed and treated. Also, this policy is in accordance with the first major document developed by the United Nations in 1989 on the rights of the child, which in Article 7 defines that one of these rights is the right of the child to know his or her parents. We also have the good of the donors. There is a trend towards suppressing anonymity in gamete donation, which may be a negative factor for donors. And this is because if a parent-child relation is established, it could lead to parental obligations for the donors that may not want to assume. And finally, we have the good for the assisted reproduction clinics. Suppressing anonymity in gamete donation can dramatically reduce the number of donors who attend those clinics, which is undoubtedly another difficulty for these practices. Also, it's possible that if anonymity is suppressed, it will particularly affect younger donors, which could be, of course, detrimental to IVF procedures and success rates, since gametes from older donors are usually of lower quality and not proper chromosomal structure. Surrogacy arrangements, whether altruistic or commercial, generate also complex ethical challenges. Critics argue that surrogacy risks commodifying women's bodies and exploiting vulnerable women, especially in low-income settings. Supporters of surrogacy claim that it allows infertile or same-sex couples to experience parenthood and can be ethically acceptable if regulated with informed consent and fair compensation. Issues of parental rights, emotional attachment, and cross-border surrogacy further complicate this debate. The bioethical aspects are of most interest because the practice of surrogacy objectifies the expectant mother by using her body for a purpose other than her own good, treating her as a commodity, as a thing. The same is true for the child because it makes him a disposable object, something that can be instrumentalized, similarly objectifying him. However, it could be argued that acceptance of the pregnancy by the surrogate could be justified as an expression of their personal autonomy, although in the vast majority of cases it's reasonable to admit that their autonomy is expressed against a background of desperation and vulnerability, so it's difficult to accept this practice uncritically. Pre-implantation genetic testing and embryo selection. While screening of embryos for genetic diseases, for chromosomal abnormalities, etc., can prevent suffering and genetic disorders, it also introduces ethical risks. Because we may select embryos although it's not allowed in our country and other countries, of course, for non-medical traits, for sex, for intelligence, appearance, which approach is actually the designer baby territory. There are fears of neo-eugenics, where only genetically desirable embryos are chosen, reinforcing inequality. And of course, the ethical frameworks emphasize using genetic screening solely for medical reasons and should be performed under strict oversight, which is also a case here in Greece under the respective authority. Access and inequality. Medically assisted reproduction is expensive and often available only to wealthier individuals, creating disparities in reproductive rights. Public healthcare systems in some countries subsidize IVF, while others treat it as a private luxury. Additionally, cross-border reproductive tourism occurs when people travel to other countries with more permissive laws, lower costs, etc., leading to potential legal and ethical conflicts such as uncertain parentage or exploitation of donors and surrogates. Another important issue are the legal perspectives, and of course laws on medically assisted reproduction differ widely. For example, in Europe, the UK's HFEA regulates medically assisted reproduction, balancing innovation with ethical safeguards. However, in France and Germany impose stricter rules on embryo research and surrogacy. In the United States, the regulation is decentralized, leading to a patchwork of state laws. So, commercial surrogacy is legal in some states, but it's not allowed in other states. And of course, in developing countries, here is a big problem because usually there is lack of comprehensive regulation and, of course, increases ethical risks. Religious perspectives. Catholicism generally opposes medically assisted reproduction methods that separate procreation from marital intercourse or involve embryo destruction. Judaism and Islam tend to permit medical assisted reproduction under specific conditions, emphasizing the importance of family and intention, while secular bioethics prioritizes autonomy, consent, and welfare over doctrinal restrictions. There are also emerging challenges. For example, genetic editing with the technology of CRISPR-Cas9, the enzyme that allows gene modification of embryos. This raises, of course, fears of designer genetics and long-term genetic harm. The cryopreservation of embryos and gametes, ethical concerns about the long-term storage and their disposal. Posthumous reproduction, using gametes after a partner's death, also challenges legal and moral definitions of consent and parenthood. Artificial uterus and artificial intelligence in reproduction. These future innovations may redefine the gestation and human reproduction, demanding new ethical frameworks. So in conclusion, ethical regulation does not aim to halt progress, but to ensure that reproductive technologies align with human dignity and social justice. Transparent laws, informed consent, and interdisciplinary bioethics committees are crucial. Public engagement involving scientists, ethicists, policymakers, and citizens ensures that medically assisted reproduction evolves responsibly with shared moral boundaries. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kostas, for this nice presentation. I would like to ask the young doctors if they have anything to ask Professor Dafopoulos regarding the assisted reproduction. Is there any question, something that you want to ask? I mean, don't have to be shy. I mean, express yourselves. There are several issues in this particular topic that you will encounter in your practice. Please.
For your talk. My name is Catherine. I'm a medical student from New York. I'm curious about the cost of egg freezing here. In New York, it's very expensive to freeze your eggs, and every month you have to pay a storage fee. I was wondering if egg freezing is covered by insurance here, or if people pay out of pocket, and if it's something that is generally accessible to the public.
Thank you for your question. It's, of course, financial issues are very important in medical assisted reproduction, and social freezing is a practice that is more and more often practicing nowadays. And actually, I can tell you that from the year 2010 to 2015, in Europe there was a 500% increase in social freezing cycles, and in the States it was about 1,000% increase. Of course, the cost here in Greece is much less compared to the United States, although it's not covered by insurance. And also the medication that are needed to stimulate the ovaries and yield the oocytes is not also covered, although our scientific societies press the government towards and help to these young women who intend to freeze their eggs. For sure, the cost is much less. If you want me to give some numbers, for example, I could tell that maybe 3 cycles of stimulation for egg freezing is about €2,000 for the unit, maybe 1,000 for the doctor, and the annual cost is about €200 annual cost. So this is the reason also that we have the cross-border reproductive care. I mean that couples or individuals also from the United States visit Europe and of course Greece because besides from the high level of the services we provide here, the cost is much less. You're welcome.
Is there any other question, please? Yes.
Thank you. That was a very nice talk. I'm obviously not a medical student. I'm a neonatologist. I work in Manchester. My question kind of relates to both kind of the boundary where your work and the work I do kind of meets, and that is looking after very premature babies. And kind of what are the current ethical kind of issues or ethical kind of guidelines which exist in your side of work kind of about very premature babies, like kind of resuscitating 22-week infants and 23-week infants. So where is the current kind of gestation limit lies for providing treatment within Greece?
Gestation limit, you mean for viability of, yeah, it's 22 weeks. It's the same as in the United States. And as far as medical assisted reproduction is concerned, it's very important to transfer only one embryo and avoid multiples, because a very important cause of prematurity is multiple pregnancy. And of course, this has changed globally. In, for example, the United States, it was very usual to have triplets, quadruplets, and it was initially conceived as a success. But now we know that even twins are a complication of IVF. So we point to the single embryo transfer in order to have only singletons.
Okay. Okay. Costa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
The next presentation is entitled Ethical Issues in Daily Nursing Practice. It will be delivered by Mrs. Ioanna Papathanassiou, who is Professor of Social Psychiatry at the School of Nursing, University of Thessaly. Please come to the podium.
Thank you very much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear professors and colleagues, dear all, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Professor Giannoukas and Professor Mavroforu, for the kind invitation and the opportunity to participate in this important workshop on bioethics. It's really a great honor to be here among all of you and to contribute in this scientific session. Today my presentation is about some of the ethical issues that we face in daily nursing practice. In the everyday reality of nursing, ethical decisions are rarely black or white. Nurses often find themselves balancing patient autonomy with safety, advocating for their patients, while also working within institutional constraints and navigating situations where personal values may conflict with professional duties. The aim of this presentation is to highlight some common ethical principles in nursing practice that guide the decision-making process and to reflect some research data about ethical dilemmas and considerations. Ethical principles in nursing guide nurses through their day-to-day decisions, ensuring that they are providing patients with the compassionate care that they need. Ethics of care in nursing serve as a guide for nurses forced to make critical decisions daily and related to their patients' care. In addition to being aware of the best nursing practices and organizational protocols, nurses must also be able to consider the consequences of their actions and make a choice in line with ethical standards in nursing and across the nursing field. Ethical awareness plays a significant role in a nurse's ability to be successful and to provide patients with personalized high-quality care. Ethical principles are defined as a code of conduct for nurses that allows them to make sound and moral choices in relation to patient care. Ethical principles in nursing require nurses to remember that the patient is more than just a person who needs care, but is an individual who has bodily autonomy and human rights. Nurses need to prioritize justice, equity, and advocacy as they make decisions related to the patient's care. In nursing, the process of developing a code of ethics began in 1893 with the Nightingale Pledge, an oath named after Florence Nightingale, the mother of modern nursing. The Nightingale Pledge, which is patterned after the medicine's Hippocratic Oath, is promise undertaken by nurses to uphold the core values and principles of nursing and is generally accepted as the first nursing code of ethics. It refers to the promoting the rights of patients, promotion of health, protection of information, ensuring safety of the patients, maintaining professional competence, and sustaining a good working relationship with colleagues, which is also included in the Code of Ethics for Nursing. As modern nursing developed and the Nightingale Pledge no longer covered enough topics to remain relevant, the American Nurses Association, which was established in 1896, set out to develop a more formal code of ethics in nursing, the first version of which was published in 1926. And according to the American Nurses Association, the code upholds 4 principles of medical ethics: autonomy, beneficence, justice, and non-maleficence. Today, the Code of Ethics for Nurses lays out 9 provisions, statements that describe a core belief or behavior for nurses, with additional interpretation or explanations of the provision's importance and application. The code is reviewed and updated every 10 years as the field evolves in response to technological, organizational, and societal shifts. And the 9 provisions in the Code of Ethics for Nurses are treating patients with compassion, committing to serving patients, advocating for patients' rights, accepting authority over nursing practices, caring for self and continuing growth as a professional, promoting ethics and safety in the workplace, engaging in research and policy to advance the profession, reducing health inequalities across the world, upholding the integrity of the profession, and these provisions define ethics in nursing and orient the profession as a dedicated practice in serving the patient and the wider community. This is especially relevant when other influences, members of the medical team, insurance companies, family members, or external forces are in conflict with the patient's desires and care. The International Council of Nurses also developed an International Code of Ethics for Nurses in 1953. It has been revised and reaffirmed at various times since, most recently revision completed in 2021. The ICN Code of Ethics for Nurses is a statement of the ethical values, responsibilities, and professional accountabilities of nurses and nursing students that defines and guides ethical nursing practice within the different role nurses assume. The ICN Code provides ethical guidance in relation to nurses' roles, duties, responsibilities, behaviors, professional judgment, and relationships with patients, other people who are receiving nursing care or services, co-workers, and allied professionals. The elements of the ICN Code of Ethics are developed on 4 main axes: nurses and patients or other people requiring care of services, nurses and practice, nurses and the profession, nurses and global health. And in the slide, you can see the main professional values in each axis, such as respect, privacy, dignity, compassion, justice, integrity, expertise. In the key axis nurse and practice, the ICN Code includes 12 principles. Nurses carry personal responsibility for ethical nursing practice, maintain fitness to practice so as not to compromise their ability to provide quality, safe care, practice within the limits of their individual competence, value their own dignity, well-being, and health, maintain standards of professional conduct at all times, share their knowledge and expertise, are patient advocates, and also participate in particular procedure or nursing or health-related research. Nurses also maintain a person's right to give and withdraw consent to access their personal health and genetic information, take appropriate action to safeguard individuals, families, communities, and population when their health to engage, and also in daily nursing practice, a patient's hospital experience goes beyond treatment and test results, and it's shaped by the care, compassion, and dedication of the nurses who support them. Beyond clinical expertise, nursing is rooted in core values and that ensure patients feel heard, respected, and well cared for. To apply these values in practice, nurses follow guiding principles that shape their interactions and decision-making. These are called the 6 C's of nursing: care, compassion, competence, communication, courage, and commitment. Although these 6 components originally created for the National Health Services in England in 2012, these principles are regarded as universal and serve as a foundation for nursing excellence. And in these slides, we can see the meaning of each component. And now let's see some recent research findings about ethics in nursing practice. The first article is a recent review about nurses' experiences of ethical dilemmas that published in 2020 in the journal Nursing Ethics. The aim of the study was to describe and discuss ethical dilemmas described and experienced by nurses in clinical practice today. And the study was performed as a literature review, following the matrix method, allowing to synthesize literature across methodological approaches. The review includes relevant studies published between 2011 and 2016, and a total of 15 articles were included and analyzed, focusing on their description of ethical dilemmas. And in the next slides, we will see some data of some of these 15 studies. So in the first study that was conducted in Norway and Germany, the results shown that the top 3 ethical challenges reported by the nursing home staff were the lack of resources, end-of-life issues, coercion, and the main topic of the ethics was the end-of-life care and life-prolonging treatment. In the second study, where the aim was to identify and describe the various types of perceptions of moral distress exhibited by nurses, the results shown that the types were conflict with personal values, excessive workload, curbing with autonomy, constrained by organizational norms, and self-expectation frustration. And in the third study that was conducted in Korea, and the aim was to explore and understand moral distress as experienced by nurses working within critical care, 5 themes where ethical dilemmas were identified, and these are suffering resulting from a lack, dilemmas resulting from nurses' limited autonomy in treatment, conflicts with physicians, and conflict with institutional policy. And there are many other ethical dilemmas. For example, in Sweden, non-decisions, problems holding to the decisions, communication barriers, and the underlying program. In Israel, the most common and most distressing dilemmas were administrative issues, and in Belgium, the decision-making that can be experienced as difficult even as a dilemma. Another study about ethical concerns and the dilemmas of Finnish and Dutch health professional dilemmas were combined into 8 categories, and some of them are the safety of professionals versus patient right to care, power of health providers versus vulnerability of the patient, etc. So the article reveals that regardless of nurses' individual competencies, organizational structures, the work environment, political agendas, and efficient hospital cultures impact strongly their ability to act according to their professional, ethical, and moral convictions. And this finding underlines the importance how today's organizational structures affect the possibility of providing nursing care that is consistent with basic nursing values. In another article, the aim was to synthesize evidence on the ethical dilemmas nurses encounter in end-of-life care and effective palliative care practices, and the objectives were to understand key ethical issues, evaluate communication and decision-making strategies, and identify approaches to support nurses and patients. 22 studies included in this systematic review, and based on the data extracted from the studies, 4 themes were identified, and the first one was the ethical challenges in practice. And this theme includes autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. Addressing the ethical dilemmas in palliative care requires a comprehensive approach that includes targeted education, effective communication, ethical framework, support for nurses, and systematic integration of palliative care principles. In our days, a lot of research studies are about the use of AI in healthcare. A recent systematic review published in 2024 in the Journal of International Nursing Review aimed to explore the ethical considerations and challenges faced by nursing professionals in integrating artificial intelligence into patient care. The primary research question in this study was, what are the ethical considerations and challenges faced by nursing professionals in the use of AI in patient care? And how do existing ethical frameworks and nursing perspectives inform the development of strategies for the ethical integration of AI in nursing practices? And in this review, 13 studies were included. Some of the studies and the results are shown in this slide, and the results highlight the need for ethical frameworks and stakeholder engagement in the adoption and use of AI technologies in nursing settings. And the integration of AI into nursing practice offers significant potential for engaging clinical decision-making, improving patient outcomes, and optimizing operational safety. And however, the study shows that the ethical challenges that accompany AI adoption, such as concerns related to privacy, accountability, transparency, and the preservation of humanistic care. And to maximize the benefits of the AI, we should establish robust governance frameworks that align AI use with ethical principles. In 2021, a study that conducted in our department was published, and the aim was to examine the Greek nurses' perception of hospital ethical climate and to investigate the possible differences of those perceptions regarding their demographic and work-related characteristics. This was a cross-sectional study in which 286 nurses and nurse assistants participated. We used the Oslo Hospital Ethical Climate Scale, and the result shows that the factors associated with hospital ethical perception are working experience and a responsible position. And the highest score of ethical climate reported to managers subscale. In general, Greek nurses reported positive perceptions regarding hospital ethical climate, and the positive ethical climate is associated with a better working environment, fewer nurses' experience of moral distress, fewer chances for nurses' turnover, high quality of nursing care, and fewer errors in nursing practice. And in conclusion, why ethics matters in nursing? Following a code of ethics in nursing is both a high-minded commitment to sound practice and a pragmatic tool to help nurses do their job day in and day out. Ethics help nurses to reduce burnout, to increase collaboration, to provide quality care, and to move into leadership positions. By using ethics in nursing, nurses can find more satisfaction in their work, communicate more effectively with their colleagues and patients, and expand their practice into better care and leadership in nursing. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Papa.Thessalou, for your very important speech. Are there any questions from the audience, please?
Thank you very much, Ioanna. And now the next speaker is Associate Professor Evangelos Frandelos, who's going to talk to us about the ethical dimensions of body care in nursing.
Dear professors, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear students, friends and colleagues. First of all, I would like to take a moment to personally thank Professor Giannoukas and Professor Mavroforu for their kind invitation to be a part of this important and very successful event. Following the presentation of Professor Papa.Thessalou, now we will focus on a fundamental aspect of nursing care, which is the bodily care. I will begin with my presentation by quoting the French philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty, who in his work Phenomenology of Perception stated that my body is not an object among other objects, but is the means which I have access to this world. And this quote captures the spirit and the essence of nursing ethics. The body is not just a physical thing to treat it, or cleaned. It's a person's view, a person's way of existing in this world, and when we care for someone's body, we care for their own very humanity. The human body is not clearly only biological, but also holds an existential, emotional, and cultural aspect. It carries a person's history, identity, and experience. In nursing, we often focus on the physical aspects of care, measuring, washing, dressing, repositioning. But these acts are never purely technical. They are deeply moral because when we touch a body, we touch a most personal and private dimension on another person's life. To care for the body, therefore, is to enter a moral relationship based on respect, dignity, and sensitivity. And this presentation will explore how body care reveals the ethical essence of nursing, showing that good care depends as much as moral awareness as technical skills. In the clinical setting, the body becomes the main focus for professionals' attention. We examine, we touch, we intervene in everyday practice. But for the patient, this experience can be unsettling. When illness strikes, the body may feel strange, weak, painful, and sometimes uncooperative. The nurse often stands at the boundary between patient and his feelings of alienation. Through a gentle and respectful care, the nurse helps the patient reconnect with their body and the sense of the self. Every act of bodily care, washing, feeding, or helping with movement is therefore a moral encounter. It's not only about doing something to a body, but doing something with a person. When we see the patient as a body, meaningful and worthy of reverence, we recognize the moral nature of our profession. As Professor Papa.Θανασίου earlier stated, the ethical foundation of nursing are well known: autonomy, non-maleficence, and justice. These four principles were clearly reflected in the ASEAN Code of Ethics for Nurses, which also mentioned before, which empathize the respect of human rights and dignity. But in practice, ethical questions rarely appear as an abstract rules. They arise in small, concrete moments. When we decide how to touch, how to speak, and how to protect a patient's privacy. Ethical care is not about what we do, but how we do it. To act well in these situations, nurses need more than rules. They need a practical wisdom, or what Aristotle called phronesis, meaning the ability to see what is morally right in each unique situation. Respect in nursing is not only in words or formal manners. It is the embodied practice, showing through our gestures, tone of voice, and presence. Touch is one of the most powerful expressions of care, yet it can heal or harm, depending on how we use it. If we treat the body as a task, there is a risk to reducing a person to an object. If we act with awareness and empathy, the touch becomes a form of communication, and it says, I see you, you are safe. The philosopher Emmanuel Levinas reminds us that the other, the patient, before us, it calls us to responsibility simply of being there. Even when patients cannot speak, their bodies express a silent appeal. Don't harm me and respect me. To respond to that call, the sensitivity is the foundation of ethicals in nursing. Dignity is the heart of nursing ethics, and it can be fragile. It has two aspects: the inherited dignity, which every person possesses simply of being a human, and the experienced dignity, which depends on how we treat the others. Patients often lose their sense of dignity, not through cruelty, but through neglect or haste. Examples include to be left uncovered, not to be spoken directly, or having procedures without explanation. These moments may seem small, but they leave a deep emotional scar on patients. The nurse becomes a guardian of dignity. by offering privacy, asking permission, explain every action and procedure, we can protect a person's sense of self. As McLaren suggests, moral excellence comes from a habit for small, consistent acts of virtues such as patience, compassion, and humility. Let me share some few examples in clinical practice. Imagine a patient who being bathed without explanation, or having a pant change while other people are present. Or consider when nurses talk about a patient, but not to them. These situations happen often, but that we like to admit. They may result from a time pressure, emotional fatigue, but their moral cost is very high. They injure a patient's dignity and create mistrust. What is needed is not a perfection, but ethical mindfulness, an awareness that every small act carries meaning. Before touching a patient, we can pause, make eye contact, and communicate. These moments restore the ethical dimension of care. Every patient we care for us is vulnerable, physical, emotional, existentially. Illness exposes weakness, dependency, and fear. But vulnerability is not just a sign of suffering. It is also a moral invitation. When we encounter another's vulnerability, we are called to respond with humility and empathy. The philosopher Martha Nussbaum describes this as a fragile of goodness. The idea that the human life is precious is precisely because it is fragile. In intensive care, in palliative care and the median units, communication is often limited. Yet, even when a person cannot speak, their bodies still communicate. Maintaining modesty, explaining actions aloud, and offering gentle touch, it says, you still matter. The nurse becomes a moral witness who protects a patient's exposed humanity. Ethical dilemmas arise when principles are conflicted. For example, when autonomy meets vulnerability. How do we respect the wishes of a patient that cannot communicate? How we provide care efficiently in a busy world without compromising dignity. These situations require phronesis, the practical wisdom to just what is right in this context. There is rarely a single correct answer for all these questions. Ethics in nursing depends on the perception of empathy and courage. Simone Weil once wrote that the attention is the purest form of generosity. When a nurse makes a moment to pause, to truly see a person before them, that attention itself becomes a moral act. If we want ethical care in practice, we must teach it in education. Nursing students need to learn not only procedures, but also how to reflect on the meaning of care. Training should include courses of ethics of care, phenomenology, and narrative medicine, disciplines that may help students to understand better the human experience in illness. Practical exercises such as role-playing, reflective writing, and case discussion can develop empathy and ethical sensitivity. In the workplace, clinical supervision or regular ethical debriefings are essential. Through discussion, reflection, nurses can process the emotional challenge of caring for vulnerable bodies. As Barner reminds us, moral competencies grow through experience, reflection, and support. Ethics cannot depend on the individuals alone, but it must be a part of the organizational culture. Hospitals and health systems should model and reward respectful behaviors. Policies must protect privacy, dignity, but leaders must also embody those values. When a nurse feels respected by their managers, by their colleagues, by the patients, it's more likely to pass that respect on other patients. A culture of ethical care is built through teamwork, communication, and shared values. Ethical care is not a luxury. It is a foundation of patient safety, trust, and professional identity. To protect dignity is to protect the meaning of nursing itself. Reaching to the end, if we like to share some thoughts with you, it is first that the human body is not a biological structure, but it carries soul, history, and moral meaning. Second, caring for it is a deeply ethical act that requires respect, sensitivity, and wisdom. Third, every gesture we make, even the smallest, communicate our view of a person before us. To care for the body is to care for the person, because the body is a person's way of being in this world. As nurses, we hold a moral responsibility in our hands. Let us ensure that our hands heal not only wounds, but also invisible injuries to dignity and humanity. This is the true meaning and essence of ethical nursing. I will finish with a quoting again, this time from Mannen, which stated that it is indeed a painful experience when, as a patient, one feels as if the sick body has become a thing for the disposal of medical workers rather than a thing which meaningfully integrated in one's own life project. In this observation, Van Manen captures the existential wound that occurs when patient's body is treated as an object rather than as a part of his lived self. In illness, the body may already be alienated, unreliable. When healthcare professionals handle it without sensitivity, this alienation deepens. The patient is not longer a person with a body, but a body without a person, a passive object in routine care. Ethical nursing seeks to resist this reduction by approaching the body as a living expression of a person. The nurse helps to reintegrate the patient's own life story, restoring the meaning, agency, and dignity to the experience of being cared for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vangelis, for this nice presentation. I would like to ask whether there is any question from the floor. Okay, if not, thank you very much, and we have to proceed.
Dr. Ioanna Giannouka, who is a resident of the First Internal Medicine Department in General Hospital of Larissa, will represent confidentially privacy, security, and safety in healthcare.
Hi, welcome to everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm so happy to be part of this educational congress. So, my presentation is about confidentiality, privacy, and data security in healthcare. Okay. Here you can see a diagram that illustrates how confidentiality, security, and privacy are interconnected pillars of healthcare medical practice, and they all lead in order to the patient be safe. So among these terms, I feel that the most important term is confidentiality. When the patient goes to a doctor, visits the doctor, share personal information with their health providers. Personal information such as medical history, such as lab results, such as emotional and psychological issues. This requires healthcare providers to keep a patient's personal health information private unless given consent. Because this creates trust between a patient and healthcare providers and encourages the patient to seek care and to be honest during healthcare visits. So confidentiality assures private information will not be disclosed to family members or employees without consent. When does a matter becomes confidential? Broadly speaking, the courts have recognized three elements to deciding whether a matter is confidential. First of all is the nature of the information, whether the information that a reasonable person that shares is considered private or sensitive. And then we have the nature of the encounter, which refers to the setting in which the patient shares the information. For example, is a professional setting between a doctor and a patient, then the confidentiality automatically applies. Then we have the nature of disclosure that refers in how the doctor shares this information. Did he took the consent of the patient? Did he share the information without any authorization? Or did the doctor share the information under legal duty? And by legal duty, I mean that there are certain patient information that is exempt by law and reports to proper authorities that are required without patient consent. These are births and deaths that should be registered, or injuries caused by violence, like accidents. Then we have emergencies, like endemics, pandemics, like COVID-19. We have some states like non-communicable diseases to be reported in order to track incidents, causes, and treatments, such as cancer, congenital metabolic disorders, and epilepsy. So the term confidentiality originates from the Hippocratic Oath, which mentions that whatever I see or hear professionally or privately, which ought not to be divulged, I will keep secret and tell no one. Then the Hippocratic Oath, centuries later, they are affirmed in the Geneva Declaration, where Dr. pledged, I will respect the secrets which are confined in me, even after the patient has died. In modern healthcare medicine, we have professional guidelines, such as Code of Ethics, GMC and BMA guidelines. Then we have the term privacy. Term privacy and confidentiality seems the same, but they are not identical. Privacy, the definition of privacy is the situation when a person is free from public interference. And it centers around the person. On the other hand, confidentiality is concerned with the information. So, in this term privacy, there are some strategies that usually we underestimate, but we have to consider them. Firstly, we have to use a hushed voice when speaking with patients and families or when sharing information in public areas. When it is possible, we have to find a private area for talking with patients and families. Consider patients' needs for physical privacy. Before touching a patient or conducting a physical exam, tell a patient and family what you are going to do and ask the patient's permission. And last but not least, use the environment to your advantage to convey privacy. Examples including knocking before entering the room, asking the patient if it's okay to move a curtain, closing doors during an exam or meeting, and using a sheet to cover the patient's body before and after the examination. Then we have the term security. Security refers to the protection and privacy of health information. Security during the times, at first it was applied by paper documentation. Later we have the electronic documentation, and here we have the word cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, that it refers to the digital information that are stored on electronic systems from unauthorized access and malicious threats. It considers such as a subcategorization of information security, which is a practice of protecting information in general from unauthorized access, modification, or destruction in order to provide confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Here you can see that cybersecurity considered a subcategory of information security, that is anything security related in the cyber realm. The last years here, we have the artificial intelligence in cybersecurity that helps very much the healthcare practice and the healthcare providers. Here you can see some good things that AI did to the healthcare medical field, such as threat detection and prediction, behavioral analysis, incident response, phishing detection, fraud detection, network security, vulnerability management, identity and access management, data loss, and prevention. Okay, as a summary here you can see that there are some breaches as well with the cyber security, within the cybersecurity. And there are some best practices that we have to follow in order to prevent these healthcare breaching healthcare bridging, but the most important thing for me to remember as a young medical doctor is taking consent from the patient and taking the permission among all the things that I mentioned in my presentation. Thank you very much.
Dr. Joanna, I'm honored to listen to your excellent presentation.
Thank you.
And I take this opportunity to wish you all the best for your career.
Thank you, Dr.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience, please? No.
Okay, Joanna, thank you very much. And now I would like to call Professor Chougos. Professor Chougos is a professor of I have to say.
Yeah, I'm a professor of medical physics and medical informatics.
Medical informatics. And I would say, beyond that Professor Chougos is the person that is trying to modernize the whole environment here in providing medical education and medical service. And we're proud that his spirit is very innovative and I think very intellectual. And now is helping also, is part of the whole system of the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Informatics to change the matters in medical environment. So, Yanis will listen to you with great interest.
Thank you very much. I would like to welcome you too here in Larissa. And thank you very much again, Professor Giannoukas and Professor Mavroforu, as well as Dr. Polidoro for being here and for inviting me in this very important session. And I congratulate you. Please continue doing what you're doing, and are very thankful for that. So I'm going to talk to you about, some parts of artificial intelligence and challenges and opportunities, actually. So there was this very interesting paper that you see here. It's more than 10 years now that evaluated the challenges and opportunities regarding medical education. And these are the growth of knowledge first, the exponential increase actually. It's very interesting to realize, you young doctors, that in 1950, there about 50 years was the doubling time of medical knowledge, 7 in 1980, 3.5 years in 2010, and 73 days 2020. So now it's expected to be less than about 2 weeks, according to IBM calculations. So the exponential increase of medical knowledge is very important. Societal issues now, like disease prevention and aging of population is another thing that you're going to face. Individual issues like the continued specialization within medicine and increased importance of lifestyle. And this goes hand to hand with technology. The high-resolution functional imaging that we have here, human genome and personalized medicine, new techniques like virtual reality and augmented reality in your everyday clinical practice and healthcare, as well as medical education, and overall the so-called healthcare reform, whose impact yet to be fully defined. So I usually use this quote by Winston Churchill that said a lot of nice things, and personally he said, "I'm always ready to learn, although I do not always like being taught." And you have to remember that. And also you have to remember human life on Earth, and I would like to help you realize that it's only 500 years ago that we have the so-called modern science, if you take into account the about 300,000 years that we're around. So I dare you realize this check, the reality check. So that would be Professor Giannoukas. And obviously me there with the bat, I would be the anesthesiologist and he would be the surgeon. And that's not very far away. Sorry, this is in Greek, but it says, "Hello, the algorithm will see you now. Please have a seat." Yeah, and you're all afraid of that, probably. You have heard of that. And you might be afraid of that. Now, we have large language models. You all know ChatGPT, Oh, you don't have the screen there. Okay, sorry. These artificial intelligence systems that have been trained on vast volumes of text and can really understand, generate, and converse in human language. So they learn patterns and they learn meaningful language. Now you can use, as you probably know, ChatGPT, but I'm just going to show an example here, a scenario that a cardiologist uploads the results of an echocardiogram along with specific key patient information, like for example symptoms history. And the command to ChatGPT would be analyze the following and write a report. So you can actually give him the image nowadays, and this is not, you know, the most advanced thing that you can work with, ChatGPT, an LLM, a large language model. So actually, the ChatGPT, if you upload the ejection fraction and so on and so forth, would give you a summary and tell you that the patient presents mild hypertrophy of the left ventricle and enlargement of the left atrium and so on and so forth. So that would be quite accurate, actually. And you can also ask him to report to the general practitioner or report a different report to a specialist, like for example a cardiologist, to the echocardiographic assessment. So that LLM is going to give you a separate report that's going to be more advanced. Just as an example, an extra features can adjust the style of the report, can automatically generate medical notes for the file, and so on and so forth. Can recommend according to guidelines, like for example the basic 4-line treatment here, and also non-pharmaceutical interventions, like nutritional interventions, the daily weight tracking, regular exercise, and so on and so forth. Well, okay, this is nice, this was an example. You need to remember though, tools like this can only assist in structuring reports, interpreting terminology, and so on and so forth. They do not replace your clinical judgment, they do not replace your certified diagnostic pathways or medical responsibility, obviously, and they will not replace your gut feeling. Remember that. So use them with caution, but they're nice tools. Other tools are AI applications in imaging, as you can see on the left, and virtual reality and extended reality scenarios, as you can see on the right. And again, I would like to remind you that it's only 500 years ago that modern medicine came, and this is only 1972, and it's the basic principle of magnetic resonance imaging that I work with mostly, and that's 1972. So that's about 1977 in the United States, and here you see 1980s almost, and that's an actual view of the brain from this kind of scanner that you see here on the left, which is only 0.14 Tesla, a Siemens scanner. Then about only 30 years later, this is the General Electric scanner that we have here at the University Hospital, which is 3 Tesla, and we had imaging like that. And that's only in 30 years span, yeah? And I can only imagine where we will be in the few years to come. Coming years, we have quantification, and some more quantification, and you're gonna be able to see all that in front of you. Nevertheless, this might be a problem, actually. Now, if you would like to see the technological advancements in medicine, in the last century, we had X-rays, okay, that you would have, you know, a brain X-ray. The detection and classification would be done by you, a pair of eyes, yes? The reporting should be handwritten at the time. And then what we have now, we have excellent scanners, excellent machines, medical devices. The visualization is probably more, is better than your actual eyes can evaluate, but the detection is being still done by a couple of eyes. Maybe even, this is a colleague of mine, Alex, who's a very good radiologist, actually really good, but still it's a pair of eyes. Now the reporting might be done electronically. You can speak to the computer, and the result might be the electronic health record, which is really good. Patients will have their own record with them at any time without any risk of losing it or damaging it. But nevertheless, the decision and the classification bucket, as it's called, is still empty. So the decision and classification should be done by you. Well, what's about to change is so-called quantitative radiomics or AI, and as I'm going to show you, maybe VR, but still you're going to be at the center. So why quantitative? Because humans are apes, actually. I mean, we can hold so much information at any time, but computers do not have this disadvantage. And I would like to dare you, can you find the error here? Yeah? You found it already, Anna? You're too smart. Never mind. Anybody else? No zero? No, it's not that. Did you see it? Did you spot it? It's here. It's the second the. Can you find the error here? But your mind is biased. Your mind directly went to analyze the sequence of numbers and not the actual second d. So that's why quantitative. And another part, and another example, which of the two, the upper or the lower part, is more dark? It's the same, you said. Who said that? You should become a radiologist or a nuclear medicine doctor. Or you've seen it before. So if you put a band in the middle, then it is actually the same indeed. And here, trust me, these are straight lines. But still your mind is biased. So we need quantitative imaging in every day of life. And then we had the Eureka in Greek time, where in a Nature Communications paper, there was a significant association with histology of squamous cell carcinoma as opposed to adenocarcinomas. As you can see on your left, hundreds of patients, but on the other hand, the radiomic features managed to differentiate between the two kinds of tumors. We didn't know how at the time, but nevertheless the algorithm did it. So that was 2014, and since then we've gone very far. So world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, as I say, but it's going to be data, yeah. And you're going to see that in front of you again. And some of us here have used this kind of diskettes, which were 1.4 megabytes, 07 and another 07, both sides, probably. And we now have something like 500 gigabytes per second that can be processed by cognitive computers. That's equivalent to 1 million books per second, if you can grasp that. 1 million books per second. So for those of you who are thinking, okay, yeah, about quantitation or quantification, if you don't know that, you go into your iPhone, your phones actually, and you search, you go and input whatever you like for example, the Greek word for dog, that's skylos. So then my iPhone will evaluate only the photos that contain dogs, and actually this is my son with his dog, actually his sister dog. So, and yeah, that's a pattern recognition technique, and that can be done by a 500 euro phone. Can you imagine several thousands or millions of dollars or euros computers, cognitive computers that can do pattern recognition in your medical practice? So the actual thing is to peel off the layer from organ, going down to tissue, cell, and maybe even indirectly, though, DNA and proteins, and that's the new thing. Using AI techniques, like for example, Gleason score biopsy in prostate. You know, there's something called Gleason score after a biopsy, a fine needle biopsy in the prostate, and you can see here that even on the same biopsy needle, you have different Gleason scoring, and that would take a few hours to the specialized doctor, but only a few seconds to a very nice algorithm. Yes? And it's going to be even better in finding it, better in evaluating it, not better in taking the decision eventually. So, just to give you an idea of how an algorithm can auto-align in MRI again, you can see that the algorithm is auto-aligning and segmenting the lines in, for example, cardiac MRI here, and auto-recognizing the left atrium, the aortic root, the left ventricle, and so on and so forth. So reproducibility is now a very good thing, and it's irrespective of the different technologists that actually does the MRI. And this is really important for us. So another video that, no, I'll skip that and go and show you the actual video here of a prostate MRI, which is really amazing. You will see that the algorithm auto-evaluates, here on your left, auto-evaluates the volume of the actual prostate tumor, the tumor bed, it says 20 mLs, and then if the doctor, the radiologist, inserts T2 and diffusivity and dynamic contrast enhancement and so on and so forth, eventually there's going to be a so-called level of suspicion, LOS, that is a probability of the prostate to be a tumor or not. And that's being done in seconds again. And this is incredible. And here you will have this kind of evaluation within seconds. You would do that as a radiologist, but you would need something like 20 minutes without this AI control. And another thing that is really amazing is that you can have auto-segmentation of anatomical parts even in ultrasound, which is, as you know, more difficult to evaluate, especially if you're new. And you can see that it is able to calculate that and identify that even in moving structures, and moving structures that are not really good. And the last paradigm here is that an AI algorithm can also guide you through and give you directions, like, for example, turn the transducer clockwise, left or right, and calculate the best auto ejection fraction, because it evaluates this image against what it expects to have to realign and evaluate the auto ejection fraction. So deep learning is actually revolutionizing medical education and research. You can do that to detect mitosis, to predict toxicity, to understand gene mutation. Are there any drawbacks? Well, yeah. For example, if I had Chihuahua in my iPhone, Chihuahua dog, like this one, it would find it, but there is a very powerful example that this blueberry muffin can be mistaken for a Chihuahua. Well, actually, the algorithms are very, very good now. They can do that. But this is a good example. So you always, again, yeah, that's the example, that you as doctors have to have the moral responsibility and the ethical responsibility at the end. This is only another tool, okay? Lastly, let's open our eyes to the virtual reality technique. What we knew is that virtual reality is a computer-generated simulation in a 3D environment. You might have already tested some kind of virtual reality techniques. What you used to think that it's about, it would be something like this, but nowadays real human dissections in immersive holographic space with fully annotated layers are available. You see, this is an actual cadaveric specimen, and you can have fully annotated layers. Like, for example, what's this one exactly? What is this? This is kidney, and the whole urinary system, description of the urinary system, and so on and so forth. And if you combine that, this morphological information, to actual real-time information, like, for example, blood flow, this is an actual dissection of a heart from a cadaver, and you can have the blood flow, which is, I think, amazing. The most amazing thing, though, is that by using virtual reality, like, for example, by using simulation before going to fly an airplane, you'll become better at it without any risk. So there was a paper that described up to 300% increase in skill transfer when using those kind of tools. Like, for example, in orthopedic surgery, you will see here, or even Professor Yanoukas field surgery, like so, and you can see the explosion of cardiac evaluation here, just to show you that you can even go inside, and this makes medical education really, really noteworthy. So it's a bunch of technologies, actually, augmented reality, or maybe extended reality as it's called, because you can have your peers, you can have see-through goggles, so you can evaluate the whole body with your peers and discussing or showing things and so on and so forth. And okay, it seems funny, you see here my associates in our own lab, because it seems like they're crazy talking to each other in a void room, but nevertheless they see a hologram in front of them. So it really is something to test. It's not panacea, it's a Greek word, it's not that is the best thing, everything that will cover it. But again, the umbrella term actually might be the so-called MR, as you're going to see, the so-called mixed reality, including augmented virtual reality. A nice thing to see is that you can have virtual reality in surgery, in neurosurgery, and you can have the actual MRI of the patient being viewed at the time of the surgery, so that you can be guided. So you can have pre-surgical planning evaluated right on the spot. Yeah. And the last thing that I saw recently, it's an intraoperative inline holographic display of anatomy in laparoscopic hemicolectomy. That was in Dublin to 2024. So you can have it real time there. Well, does it help? It needs to be evaluated, but it can be done. But we're gonna need to see, one thing that was missing, for example, was a realistic touch sense, and there are companies now evaluating haptic technology. So you will be able to feel as well, you will be able to feel the pressure. So necessity, Plato said, is the mother of invention, and your new friends is gonna be the so-called metaverse in your medical practice. That would be extended virtual and augmented reality. One thing that I wanted to stress is that the market size in 2021 was $30.5 billion US, and it was by 2024 $300 billion US, and it's going to be something like 500 USD in 2025. So there is an unbelievable evolution. What about other points that you can use XR? You can do that in pain management and distraction. Like, for example, if you have a small child, you can have evaluating prolonged exposure and post-traumatic stress disorder, stress relief, meditation. There are several things that we can do with that. And one thing that we are doing here in Larissa is to try and do simulated emergency scenario for residents. Because how many of you can enter the OR, the operating room? 1, 1.5, 2, Professor Yannoukas? How many? But with VR, we're gonna do that with Professor Yannoukas. We're gonna go into the OR, we're gonna have 360 cameras, and you're gonna be able then to at least have, you know, an evaluation of what it's going to feel. And you're gonna be better than the first time. First time you're probably gonna faint, but okay, I did that first time. And I'm gonna just show you the last thing, is that in Greek it's called oratonte pandon ke aoraton, that is all things visible and invisible. So with virtual reality, you can see things that are not there, like for example radioactivity. Yeah? If you have something like nuclear medicine radiation burden, radioactivity, you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it, you can't touch it, nothing. But with this technology, you will be able to see how a hot, as it's called, patient from the positron emission tomography is going to feel, and where to stand exactly in a radiation scanner room, like for example here in the interventional cardiology. You can see that the hotter places obviously are more radiation burden, and you can virtually input your hand and see the real-time dose in microsieverts per minute or per second. So you will be able to see where exactly to stand. So there are a lot of benefits. There are some restrictions, like for example nausea. Some people feel nausea. they feel disoriented, but it's something that you're gonna need to see. And if we don't shape our own future, technology companies will happily shape it for you. So you better contribute, I would say. Thank you very much. One last thing, if you can, I have a questionnaire, I have a QR code that you can scan with your phones. If we can have it back, Yanni or Petro. Okay, never mind. It's just a questionnaire. I can give it to them later to contribute to our research. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Yannis, for this intellectual presentation. You gave us what is the future, but obviously all these new things raise some important concerns for the medical practitioner.
True.
And for the patient's interest as well. So, any questions for the floor, please?
Are you going to be replaced? No. You're not going to be replaced by AI. It's just a tool. There was a fear that you're going to be replaced, but you're not. The actual paradigm, the example is the pilots. They were afraid that with autopilots they're going to be replaced. Instead, a lot of more planes and a lot more flights were there, and there is a lack of pilots right now. So probably we're going to need more of you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And last but not the least is Dr. Antonios Polidorou, who is as I said previously, Secretary General of the Global Doctors Hippocratic Institute, and he will tell us about what are the activities of this institution. I'm sure that you will find it very, very important. It's incredible, the activity that this institution has produced, and I think the activity is mostly based on Dr. Polidorou's shoulders.
Dear professors, dear students, on behalf of the President of the Medical Association of Athens, Dr. George Patoulis, I would like to welcome you all, especially the students and professors coming from the most medical schools from Europe, from Great Britain, Birmingham, and Manchester, from America, New York, from Buenos Aires, Argentina, from Asia, Oman, India, and many other countries. I welcome you all. Also, I would like to congratulate Mrs. Mavroforu and Professor Yannoukas who organized this conference. And I think that next year we will be all together to change our world. I mean, we can create also a conference and make the celebration of the oath of Hippocrates in your town, Larissa, at the Ancient Theatre. I will be happy.
We'll be very happy. It's incredible, the theatre is at the center of the city.
Thank you. So, I would like to talk about our activities. The Global Doctors Hippocratic Institute was created on 2021. This is our committee. In the middle, our President George Patoulis, the Vice Presidents, etc. Our mission, the central pillar of the Global Doctors Hippocratic Institute, is the Catholic promotion of the universal character of the Hippocratic medical science and medical thought, as well as networking Greek and international doctors together under one roof. Also, to keep authentic the oath of Hippocrates. Ethics is a question that systematically concerns human thinking from ancient times, of course, to the present day. The foundation of the Western world are based on the Christian rules of the Old and New Testaments. In medical practice, rules and algorithms of ethics were already formulated by Hippocrates. The Oath of Hippocrates, who was created 2,500 years ago, it starts with the innovation of gods, obligation to teacher and his children, to benefit or not harm, prohibition of lethal medicines, prohibition of abortifacients pesos, pure life, prohibition of lithotomy is left to the experts, impeccable behavior, prohibition of sexual behavior with patients, equal between the two sexes, free and slaves. Hippocrates was the first who spoke about equal behavior. So, this oath has endured throughout the ages many variations, from religion to religion, from country to country, from medical school to medical school, from translation to translation is different. In conclusion, the Hippocratic Oath is a code of medical ethics and deontology which prevailed through the centuries as a guideline for medical behavior to the patients and the doctors. And as I said, our institute was created in 2001, and I'm going to talk about our activities between 2021 to 2025. We created the first international congress during COVID and named Hippocrates Unites the Five Continents. Then we had 8,050 participants from all over the world. The second was created again in June 2021. Hippocrates unites the Greek doctors of all over the world, and we had 5,300 participants. And why we choose the first event to be in Larissa? Because Hippocrates, as I told you, came to Larissa from Kos, from the island of Kos, and teaches here medicine and diet. So, in September 2021, we came to Larissa, we placed the booth at Hippocrates, which is outside our theater, and we created also a seminar. And then in October of the same year, we went to the island of Kos for the Oath of Hippocrates. The second place we visited was my born country, Cyprus, at Nicosia, at the European University of Cyprus, where we placed the booth, and also we planted the plane tree under these three, Hippocrates was teaching his students medicine. Then, on April 22, we went to the University of Belgrade. Professor Yanoukas was also with us, representing his university. He was the president of the medical school. And we went to Belgrade. Again, we planted the plane tree. We placed the booth of Hippocrates, and we did a seminar, a conference about ethics. On June 22nd, we went to Bucharest, again by the same way with the Bush of Hippocrates and the plane tree. In September 22, we went to Pavia in Italy. We did the ceremony of the oath of Hippocrates in the Teatro Frazzini, where this theater was full of people. It was then September, and many of the Italians, they stopped their vacations coming to see and watch our festivity. And then every year we go back to Kos in October for the Oath of Hippocrates, and this is some pictures from Kos. In November 2022, we went to the University of Melbourne in Australia. This was a very important visit because we have the pleasure to announcing the first Hippocratic school, the first Hippocratic week for medical students in Athens, the island of Kos, and Larissa. This is an idea which came from the cooperation between the president of Athens Medical Association and president of the Global Hippocratic Doctors Institute, Dr. George Patoulis, and the board of prestige of our institute, in cooperation with members from the University of Thessaly, the European University of Nicosia, Cyprus, the National Kapodistria University of Athens, and the Medical School of the University of Patras. So, the Hippocratic Week was created in 2022. In September 23, we visited the University of Anhui in China. And we signed a cooperation agreement between the University of Athens, the University of Thessaly, and the Medical Association of Athens. Last year, we had 4 students from Anhui University coming to Greece for the Hippocratic Week. So, in October 2023, we created at Kos the first Hippocratic school, passing, of course, from Larissa first. And we had the top doctors Hippocratic oath as every October an event in Kos. We don't stop in the Hippocrates oath, but we have also other activities. Along with the medical part, we aim to promote a sense of unity among nations and people with mental retardation. So, we support the right of children with mental retardation in life through education and sports. Every year, since 2023, we organize a common run between the children with mental retardation and the other children from the schools from Kos. So this is the first run that we organized in 2023. We support medically all the games of Special Olympics. On 2023, we had the Special Olympics World Games in Berlin. And here is the stadium in Berlin, where 65,000 people And Greece, of course, enrolls first in the stadium. In February 24, 2024, we visited the medical school of Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. 140 students took the oath of Hippocrates. We placed the bust of Hippocrates, and also we planted the tree. Along with us was the president of your university, of your medical school. And then, in Addis Ababa, we visited many ministries, and we developed also with them a cooperation. In Addis Ababa, I visited the Deborah Foundation, one of the biggest foundations in the world for children with Down syndrome, with a hospital in the middle, a very big hospital, and also all the classes for these children. In May 24, we cover medically the Pan-Hellenic Games Special Olympics Hellas at Loutraki from 24 to 29 of May, with the participation of 320 athletes from the Special Olympics training programs from Greece, Cyprus, Hungary, and Austria, accompanied by 80 coaches. In June, we placed the bust of Hippocrates and the plane tree in the University of Thraiki. In September of the same year, we visited the Polyclinic Biomedico at Vatican in Rome, and also the Medical Association of Italy. In October, we co-organized as the Global Doctors Hippocratic Institute, together with the Athens Medical Association and the Goss International Foundation, the Hippocratic Week, the second Hippocratic Week, the Medical Symposium, Medicine and Hippocratic Values, Ethos, Pathos, Logos, and the outing of the excellent doctors from all the medical schools of Greece, from the 7 medical schools of Greece, and from many countries abroad. In November, we visited Manchester and Birmingham, where again we placed the bust of Hippocrates. Here are some pictures from our visit. The University of Manchester, the next day. Okay, I show some pictures from there. And in November of 2024, we went to New York. We visited the universities, the hospitals, and curated a conference with the title Greek Health Tourism Forum. In January 2025, I represented the president of the Pan-Cyprian Medical Association at the celebration of the New Year's Day at the Athens Medical Association. And then we organized the celebration of the New Year's Day in Athens with Mrs. Anita Dimitriou, president of the Parliament of Cyprus. March 25, it was the largest sporting and humanitarian event of the year, where 1,500 athletes from 98 countries participated in 8 sports, promoting social inclusion, acceptance and unity And as a doctor of Special Olympics, Hellas, with my colleagues from other countries abroad, we covered medically the Special Olympics World Winter Games in Turin, Italy. Again, I show some pictures from there. In May 2025, we went back to Rome. We placed the Busto Hippocrates at the University of Vatican and also at the Medical Association of Rome, which it counts 42,000 members. And all these members now became our members, the members of the Global Hippocratic Institute. So now the Global Hippocratic Institute counts more than 60,000 members. It's the largest institute all over the world. This year, we've been in Boston to the 11th International Summer University on Greek language, culture and media in Maliotis Cultural Center, Boston, at Hellenic College. Again, all these pictures are from the conference in Boston. And we come at the end to the October 13th, on Monday, where we organized the Hippocratic Week. On Monday, October, we started from Acropolis, from Parthenon, because we promote the Hippocratic ethics and try to preserve the authenticity of the Hippocratic Oath through our culture, our history, our education, respect for people, utilizing the enormous power of our country, the expatriate Hellenism. On Monday, we created a conference at the Greek Parliament. You can see my students' picture. Here you are, all of you, at the Greek Parliament. With the first speaker, the president of the Medical School of Athens University, Kapodistrian Athens University. The second was from Vatican, Professor Kanava. From Oman, Asia, Professor Taha, and from the European University of Cyprus, Mrs. Elizabeth Johnson. Yesterday, we visited the Kapodistria University of Athens, the departments of Physiology and Anatomy, where our students had lessons in these departments. And this is some pictures again from the Kapodistrian University of Athens of yesterday. And we come today, we are back, we started from Larissa and we finish at Larissa. This is some pictures from today, where we visited with Professor Yanoukas and Mr. Chaliapallias, the tomb of Hippocrates and the gardens of Hippocrates. And as every year, in the island of Kos, the top graduates proclaim the Hippocratic Oath, an oath that is less than 1 page, but for which thousands and thousands of pages have been written. Please, can we show the film? I will show you just for a few minutes a film from Ethiopia.
Η σχέση αυτή, η συνεργασία και με την επιστημονική κοινότητα μεταξύ των πανεπιστημίων. Ήδη συζητήσαμε για το Ιπποκράτιο ιδεώδες.
Όμνημοι Απόλλωνα ήτρων και ασκληπιών και υγείαν και πανάκιαν.
Υπήρξε και η ορκομοσία των 240 φοιτητών με τον αυθεντικό όρκο του Ιπποκράτη, που ήταν μια συγκινητική στιγμή ομολογουμένως και που σαφέστατα θέλουμε να την μεταλαμπαδεύσουμε σε όλα τα πέρατα του κόσμου.
እኔ ከምለው በኋላ በመቀጠል ቃለ መሃላውን እንድትፈጽሙ እጠይቃለሁ።
Please, everybody stand to celebrate this important moment.
Και η πρωτομή του Ιπποκράτη σε αυτό εδώ το χώρο, αλλά και η φύτευση του Πλατάνου είναι δράσεις του Παγκόσμιου Ιπποκράτιου Ινστιτούτου Γιατρών. Ο κύριος Σπατούλης έχει αναλάβει αυτές τις πρωτοβουλίες σε διάφορα πανεπιστήμια, σε διάφορες σχολές, προκειμένου να αφήνουμε το αποτύπωμά μας εδώ και με αυτόν τον τρόπο να θυμούνται πάντα ότι η Ελλάδα είναι η γη που γεννήθηκε ο πατέρας Δυτικής Ιατρικής, ο Ιπποκράτης, και βέβαια πάντα να θυμούνται ότι θα μπορούν να έρθουν εκεί για να δώσουν τον αυθεντικό όρκο στο νησί της Κος στην γενέτειρά του.
I swear by Apollo the physician, Asclepius and the year, and all the gods and goddesses, that according to my ability and judgment.
Ήταν ιδιαίτερη τιμή και συγκίνηση για μένα να απαγγείλω τον όρκο του Ιπποκράτη, πραγματικά τόσα χιλιόμετρα μακριά από την πατρίδα μας, τόσο διαφορετικές συνθήκες για εμάς, σε μια χώρα που τώρα εξελίσσεται. Είναι πολύ συγκινητικό να έρχεσαι σε επαφή με τους συναδέλφους σου και να μοιράζεσαι αυτή τη στιγμή μαζί τους.
Dr. Hiwot Yenyanah Anilay, Dr. Hiwot Molla Ega.
Η ιατρική πρέπει να διέπεται από το ήθος και ακριβώς αυτό είναι το οποίο πρεσβεύει και ο Ιπποκράτης και ο όρκος. Και νομίζω ότι στις μέρες μας είναι πιο σημαντικό από ποτέ να το θυμόμαστε αυτό. Επίσης θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω με την ευκαιρία αυτή τον κύριο Πατούλη αλλά και όλους τους γιατρούς οι οποίοι βρίσκονται στην Αιθιοπία αυτές τις μέρες για το συνέδριο του Ιπποκράτη, την εβδομάδα του Ιπποκράτη, και εύχομαι πραγματικά αυτή η επίσκεψη και οι επαφές που είχαν και το μνημόνιο που υπογράψανε καθώς και τα twinning programs να συμβάλλουν να είναι ένα ακόμα λιθαράκι στην πάρα πολύ καλή συνεργασία που έχουμε με τους φίλους μας στους Αιθίωπες στον τομέα της υγείας.
Όλοι αυτοί οι γιατροί που θα απορκίστηκαν σήμερα θα είναι μέλη του Παγκόσμιου Ιπποκράτη Ινστιτούτου Γιατρών. Οι στόχοι μας πιστεύω ότι επιτεύχθηκαν και προχωρήσαμε σήμερα στην ορκομοσία, στην οποία 240 γιατροί έδωσαν τον όρκο του Ιπποκράτη. Αυτή είναι και η ουσία του θέματος, πώς να διαδώσουμε τον όρκο του Ιπποκράτη αυτούσιον όπως ήταν στην αρχαιότητα και πώς να διαδώσουμε τις ηθικές αξίες του μεγάλου δασκάλου της ιατρικής του Ιπποκράτη.
Παραφέρονται δε και ποιορκέονται τα αντία του Θεού.
Αποδίδω τον όρκο εκ βαθέων και όχι απ' έξω, εκ βαθέων 35 χρόνια. Και ήταν μια από τις πιο σημαντικές στιγμές της ζωής μου όσον αφορά σε θέματα του Ιπποκρατικού όρκου.
So, with the decision of the Senate of the University of Ethiopia,
the study of medicine, the clinical practice,
the place that
research and observation,
the ought
and
took
with
place
that is known as the father
is
of modern
called
medicine. And above all,
Hippocrates
he is also
Splash.
known as author of the Hippocratic
So,
Oath.
in Ethiopia,
Because
we
his
have
life
an Hippocrates
experience
Splash.
has taught me
Do we have in
of
Greece
his
any?
personality, the way he approached people, the way he treats people at that time. So, he wrote
εδώ όλος ο χώρος του Πανεπιστημίου που ορκίστηκε.
students and medical professionals to be like him.
Hippocrates wrote. Yes?
Serving in one of the museum which I had the opportunity to finish that museum, they gave the name Hippocrates to the whole museum.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm not going to keep you long. I would like, ladies and gentlemen, to say that this scientific event has now come to its conclusion. On behalf of the Faculty of Medicine and Nursing of the University of Thessaly, I would like to convey our deepest appreciation to the Global Doctors Hippocratic Institute for including Larissa in this year Hippocratic Week. It has been an honor and a privilege to be part of this inspiring initiative. We remain deeply committed to continue and further strengthening our collaboration to the years to come. Finally, I would like to congratulate all of you, the graduates of the medical schools from several countries around the world. I would like to wish every success in your future careers, and may you always walk the path of knowledge, compassion, and ethical integrity, the timeless path of Hippocratic teaching. Thank you very much. We enjoyed very much, and remember, you are always welcome here in this place.